Today we're back on the Am I the A-hole subreddit and it's going to be so fun. Having an absolutely beautiful day today and I hope you guys are as well. And in the mood to read some Am I the A-hole today. As always, thank you for being here guys and I hope you have a wonderful time. Am I the a-hole for demanding respect from my daughter-in-law, and if she can't, then she can get the hell out? I'm a young mother-in-law, I'm only 39, had my kids pretty young, and I am very lucky that my husband makes a lot of money, so I don't have to work. My husband and I decided I'd be a homemaker and be active in the community. That's what I've been up to, and I try to make the community a better place. Now, my older son is 22 and married, and I was really excited until I met her. In general, she's a very business-focused person and very blunt. I actively dislike her, but I try to be polite for my son's sake. A few examples of why I don't like her. Her wedding gift that I handed over saying it was from me and my husband. She responded back, "Just your husband, since I know it wasn't your money that paid for it." Wow, what? Yeah, you're not the a-hole in this situation. Saying I'm volunteering, well, that's not a real job since it doesn't make money. And passive aggressive, and yeah, I have talked to my son about it. And even once with her to try and clear the air. We had a get together last night and I made a homemade meal. When I was plating everything, she came up and made the comment, "No wonder I could make a home-cooked meal. I don't do anything else with my day." Oh my god, they sound awful. I lost it and I told her she needs to respect me or get the hell out of my house. She was shocked and then started to cry when I did kick her out. My son is pissed and we had a huge argument and he called me a huge a-hole. I need an outside opinion. Oh, hell no, you're not the a-hole. Like, yeah, it's one thing to be a blunt person. That's okay, but it's not okay to be straight up rude to people. Yeah, like the top comment says, not the a-hole. Wow, she's a total a-hole. Just because you don't conform to her business-focused personality doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. What you and your husband have works for the two of you, and you volunteer for the community. Whether it pays or not doesn't take away from your commitment and responsibility that you show to others. Daughter-in-law's a piece of work. What does your husband say to all of this? And they responded underneath, "My husband hates her. I had to drag him to the wedding, only so it wouldn't destroy his and our kids' relationships." Yeah, wow, I can't believe they were this rude. And in your own house as well. That's so awful. Imagine saying that to somebody. Like, oh yeah, of course you can cook a good meal because you don't do anything else. Get out of here. How awful. And also, that's so obviously awful to anybody. And the fact that the son can't obviously see how awful they're being is a huge red flag as well. Yeah, nah, not the a-hole. And they should be apologizing to you ASAP. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother that it's pathetic that he can't do the basics of what his wife did? On my phone, sorry. I love my sister-in-law and brother. They have 2 kids and my sister-in-law Rachel was kind of a stay-at-home mum. She worked from home part-time but also took care of the kids and all the chores. I was over multiple times and the house was spotless. Really, I thought she was just extra cleaning when she had guests, but no. When I had my kids, she showed me her schedule. She would wake up at 5 for meal prepping for the whole day. Like, she never stopped, and a lot of her tips helped me with my own home. Now, my brother lost his job and it was decided that Rachel would go back to work full-time and he would stay at home. The kids are in kindergarten and 1st grade. He has this on easy mode. I've been over to help sometimes since he just sucks at it. The house is always a mess. The kids are usually late to school. He asked me to drive them after the school talk to him and he doesn't cook. It's just sad. He got in a huge argument with his wife since dinner wasn't done and she had to make it. He was ranting about how it's unfair and that he is trying. I told him that it's pathetic that he can't do the basic of what his wife did. He has 8 hours free and he can't keep the house clean. I told him that she'll divorce him if he doesn't stop being so lazy and figure it out. He left after calling me a jerk and my mum is now on me for what I said. Thank you for the mac and cheese recipes. Updates. I love my sister-in-law. My mum apologized to me. Rachel sent my mum what the kitchen and house look like, the messages from the school, and apparently a text argument about how he shouldn't be doing this. She gave him 2 options, get his crap together or get out. I learned a lot more about the situation and I learned he wasn't packing the kids' lunches the last 2 days. I think he just broke his marriage. Oh, I hope not. That's so sad if that's the case. And there's a comment here that says, I gave him a schedule and so did sister-in-law. I've been over so many times. He's not doing anything. The house is gross and the kitchen is the worst. Sister-in-law 28 and brother 31. Yeah, I don't feel like you're the a-hole in this situation. It sounds like it was the truth and it all needed to be said. Hopefully they sort it out and they start doing better. It'd be so sad if it didn't get any better. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife off after getting our daughter to cut cut her hair off, even after being told not to. My wife is currently battling cancer, and one of the things that she told me that she's struggling with the most was losing her hair. She's been given a near 100% chance of survival since we caught it early, but the chemotherapy has destroyed her hair anyway, and she had to shave what was left off it a few weeks ago. Not long after that, she suggested we attempt to get our 17-year-old daughter Anna to do so as well. Anna has long hair that she puts a lot of care into, so I felt it was inappropriate to ask her in private if she wanted to or would be willing to do such a thing. She told me that she didn't want to cut her hair, and I figured that was the end of it. However, yesterday they came home from a girls' shopping trip, something they do every so often, and Anna had a buzzed haircut. It struck me as odd after what she said, so after dinner I talked to her and she told me that my wife said that she would never forgive Anna if she didn't show her support by buzzing her head. I asked her if she was happy about it and she said that she wasn't. When I went to bed, I brought it up with my wife and she said it was Anna's choice to or not. I just told her how I'd said the situation. I told her off, saying that she needed to respect Anna's personal choices and that a 17-year-old girl being against shaving her head wasn't exactly out of the ordinary. However, my wife simply said that it was to show support for her. I've been sleeping on the couch since. I love my wife and I understand that she's going through something traumatic. However, her attitude comes off as very manipulative to me, and that's not behavior I feel I can personally accept. I'm not sure if I can move past this to continue the relationship. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, pretty much like this comment says. Your wife's illness is tragic, but not an excuse to emotionally blackmail and ignore your daughter's body autonomy. Frankly, her behavior is very jealous and cruel. Yeah, I hope they're supporting the daughter because that's really not good. Yes, super toxic. Am I the a-hole for how I, 37 male, reacted to my son, 17 male, coming out to me? It's been pointed out that my title wording has the post seem worse than it is, so I apologize for that. It wasn't my intention. So I've always known that my son had an interest in men. He was slow on the pickup of incognito mode, and from the searches that he made, I figured that he was at least bi-curious, if that's the proper term for it, since he hit puberty. Well, last year he started bringing a boy around and it was obvious they were dating, to the point where I figured that he knew I knew, and it wasn't a big deal to anyone. Well, apparently I was wrong. After school yesterday, he and his boyfriend came up to me and said there was something really important they needed to tell me. My son said that they were dating and had been for a year. Well, I was surprised that he wasn't aware that I knew, and was a bit thrown off. My mouth moved a little bit faster than my brain and said, well, that's pretty freaking gay. Well, now I think it was peak comedy since it is in fact gay. However, I understand that using the word gay in that way gives it a very negative undertone, hence the mouth faster than brain comment. Now, my son and I are usually pretty edgy with our humor, this being fairly tame for the stuff that we joke about. While probably not appropriate for the situation, it wasn't our norm for a conversation between us. However, he and his boyfriend were very, very upset and they left. I'm probably the a-hole, but I thought I'd check and see if you had some advice on what I can say to fix it. He currently won't respond to my texts or calls. Yeah, okay, so definitely shouldn't have said that. And in this situation, they're definitely the a-hole, but in the long run, I'm sure it's going to be fine. Yeah, like the top comment says, you the a-hole for the wording. I won't lie, as someone who has been out and proud for years, that joke made me laugh my ass off, but your son needed support more than humor. In the grand scheme of things, I was expecting much worse from the title, so I think if you just apologize and explain that you meant it in a humorous way, and that you fully accept him and his partner, you and your son will be fine. Yeah, 1000%. You didn't have any bad intentions, it just wasn't the right time to say that. Am I the a-hole for walking out of a wedding I was a part of and ruining the day? I dated my ex-boyfriend John for 4 years and got serious enough where we started planning for our future, wedding and kids, etc. I thought we were pretty happy, but last year he dumped me pretty suddenly. I tried to figure out what went wrong, but he said it was personal and that I should respect his space. During this time, my best friend Stacey and her fiance Tom were my rocks, letting me crash at their place and just being overwhelmingly supportive and loving. When Stacey asked me to be her maid of honor, I thought it was a no-brainer and I happily took on the task. Fast forward to what happened this weekend. The morning of the wedding, Tom asked me to meet him super early for breakfast, before all of the festivities. I thought it was weird, but I assumed he maybe wanted to pass something on to Stacey. What happened instead was that Tom let me know that a few days prior, Stacey admitted to him that she had an affair with John, which led to my breakup. He said that Stacey wanted to come clean to start their marriage fresh, and that he was forgiving her to move forward. He'd gone back and forth between telling me and finally decided to spill the beans. I guess he had expected me to forgive Stacey too because the affair was so long ago. The opposite pretty much happened and I just walked out on the wedding. It ended up causing a huge mess because I was pretty much running the whole show. Stacey made me do everything, so she didn't even know what was happening on certain times or who to to Cole. Not only that, but everyone realized that the maid of honor wasn't there. She had headshots and bios of the party on her wedding page, and news of the affair eventually got out because her cousin knew John. Stacey and Tom have been slandering me online now, saying that I ruined their once-in-a-lifetime moment. You ruined it by having an affair. Are you joking? Some of their friends are on their side saying that I should have handled the situation more privately and at least stuck out the wedding since it was so last minute. I personally don't know what Tom expected, but either way, I've been bombarded with texts, and I heard that Stacey's been so upset that she's had to take time off work, which does make me feel like an a-hole, especially since I've just been ignoring her calls. Yeah, 1000% this comment. No, Stacey, you ruined your once-in-a-lifetime moment by cheating on Tom and screwing my boyfriend just before the wedding. You cheated on your husband and you cheated on your maid of honor. You betrayed everyone close to you. I'd copy and paste that everywhere on the internet, every online slander. I'd post it 1,000 times each time she posted anything about me. That'd be the boilerplate response, not the a-hole. Yeah, honestly, and how are they the ones who are upset? How can they not for a second be like, oh, well, I guess I shouldn't have cheated on my husband? Like, what? That's so hilariously sad. They literally betrayed you and their partner, which led to your relationship ending. Obviously, your partner cheated as well, but now they're the ones who are upset at you? Nah. Yeah, like the top comment says, hard not the a-hole on this one. Was walking out of the wedding the day of a nice thing to do? Not really, but what did they expect would happen by telling you? And on the wedding day, they knew that they were playing with fire. They chose when to tell you this information. Simply walking out because, whoa Nelly, I bet there were a ton of conflicting emotions, was pretty adult. You didn't cause a huge scene. You simply extricated yourself from the situation, not the a-hole. Yeah, it sounds like they handled it super well. Am I the a-hole for not letting my girlfriend eat the naan bread that we ordered? My girlfriend and I got takeout from an Indian restaurant that we like to order from, usually when our budget allows us. This place is really the only good Indian place anywhere near us, but it's very pricey, and so we try to keep our order small. One entree for me, one entree for her, and a side of naan bread that we share. The thing is, the side of bread isn't very much, and the entree just isn't the same without it, so it seriously annoys me when she eats the bread without dipping it in her curry. It's such a waste of the little bread that we get. I can already tell where this one's going. I told her this before, but says it's not my concern how she eats her food. Yeah, 100%, except it is my concern because she's wasting a shared side. No, it's still not your concern because she can do whatever she wants with the half that's hers. Whatever, I let it go each time. This time she didn't order curry like she usually does. She got biryani, rice and meat. So I was happy that I would get the bread to myself. While we were eating, she reaches over for the bread and eats a piece on its own. I got annoyed and I moved the bread away from her, and I told her that she doesn't need the bread since she isn't eating a curry and doesn't need bread, whereas I am eating a curry, so I do need bread. Wait a second, you can 100% eat naan bread with this. Also, that her entree comes with rice and she can eat that. She got offended and ended up threatening not to pay her share for the food next time. She also called me a greedy a-hole and took her food and ate the rest in our bedroom. My friends are split. One of them says I'm in the right and it's too much carbs for one meal for her to have bread and rice, but the other friend essentially also called me a greedy a-hole. It's been hours and she's ignoring me. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, of course. What? Like, wasn't the deal from the beginning of this that you split the food? Well, you split the naan bread. So if you're using that logic, you only own half of the naan bread, and they can do whatever the hell they want with the other half. And just because they're not eating a curry doesn't mean they can't eat it, obviously. Yeah, the top comment, in this situation, you're a gigantic a-hole. You don't get to decide for someone how they eat their food. If you're splitting the bill, she gets to eat some of the bread, regardless if you think it's been wasted. Go say you're sorry before you're single, you the a-hole. Yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't come to that, but yeah. And yeah, obviously in this situation, even though it is a bit pricey, get your own naan bread so you don't even have to think about this. But yeah, if you're splitting it, you don't get to decide what they do with it. 100%. Am I the a-hole for thinking that my wife overreacted when an elderly lady touched our kid? Hey Reddit, I need a tiebreaker vote here. Our family and friends are divided. My wife and I went shopping. I went to a different aisle to get some jerky. I heard my wife scream, "Help!" So I ran over and she was freaking out because an elderly woman hugged our son. You can tell that the woman was harmless. The woman's son came along and profusely stating that she had dementia and she meant no harm, that she tends to view every child as her child. I said it was okay, and I myself apologized for my wife's overreaction. During this time, I was not paying attention and my wife called 911 and called over security. It became a huge mess for all the parties. What? Because my wife was not letting the issue go go. You could also tell the son was extremely embarrassed, as was I. I was trying to relax my wife, but she kept going on a complete meltdown rage, saying that his mother should be in a home if she can't keep her hands to herself. What if she got our kid sick or tried to kidnap him, got combative and hurt him? All of which I agree, yeah, are possible outcomes, but I told her none of that happened, so let's just leave it. Security states since the wife called the police, we had to wait for them to show up so they can file a report as per their store policy. About 25 minutes later, police showed up and asked what happened, and my wife explained everything. You can tell the police were like, what the hell's wrong with this woman? I felt nothing but disappointment. Police took the statement and started laughing as they left, gave the son of the elderly mum a fist bump and said sorry. My wife was upset that I didn't have her side. She was upset how I took the side of the son instead of her. No, it's not about taking sides. It's about what obviously makes sense. I explained that his mum was clearly sick. It was a harmless gesture. And I explained that she was the one that acted unreasonably. I did acknowledge her concerns, but nothing bad happened. We could have just let it slide and went on with our day. She told me that I failed as a husband. No way. So we ran the story by our family and friends. It's a 50-50 split. So my brother-in-law said it would be a funny story for Am I the A-hole? He frequents the subreddit, so Reddit, was I the a-hole? Sorry, I forgot to add our kid is 19 months old. Oh my god, not the a-hole, 100%. Like the top comment says, not the a-hole, good lord. Your wife's initial concern was justified, but after the situation was explained and an apology was offered, she should have dropped it. There was no reason to call 911 or even store security. You didn't fail as a husband. You were acting rationally. And yeah, blowing it completely out of proportion is super irrational. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for kicking only my sister-in-law out, which meant that she had to fly home early from vacation? I, 29 female, have a half-brother, James, 37. James is married to Lindsay, 35, and they have 2 kids, 4 female and 2 male. I invited James, Lindsay, and the kids to visit me this past week, and they were meant to stay until next Friday. Lindsay and I have always gotten on fine, except for the fact that she's always had a weird attitude to me, being a stay-at-home wife or mum. She always asks me if I'm gonna ask my husband before making non-essential purchases, or ask me if I feel bad relaxing while he's working, or suggest that I do things for him as a thank you to him since I'm apparently not doing anything else. Whoa, yeah, they need to mind their own business. I know that James and Lindsay are big on splitting costs, and while he pays for everything for both kids, he won't pay for Lindsay, despite making like 25x her salary. Being that that's the relationship they're happy with, I just roll with the comments, because my marriage must look weird to Lindsay. However, there is a line. A few days ago, we were sitting on our rooftop drinking wine after the kids went to bed. Lindsay was admiring the view and made a comment about how much our apartment cost. James must have told her, and asked if my name was on the deed. She then said half of X amount penthouse just for lying on your back. Wow, what? Sex work is way more lucrative than I thought. Both my husband and James are laid into her for that comment. I was obviously furious, and I told Lindsay first thing in the morning that she had to get out. She wasn't staying here after speaking to me like that, especially when she wasn't even apologetic. I felt bad for ruining James and the kids' trip, but both my husband and I were way too angry to have Lindsay there. Yeah, like the one we read before. How do you think it's okay to say something like this? Gross. The next morning, Lindsay asked if she could stay. She said that James wasn't willing to end the trip early and wanted to stay, but she couldn't afford to stay in a local hotel. She blamed her comment on the wine, but her apology and explanation seemed so insincere and was clearly based on having no choice. I told her this and said that even if she did mean it, I just needed some space from her and I didn't want her around after what she said, because when put on top of what she's been saying for years, it's obvious what she thinks. James then said that he wasn't paying for her hotel because it was her own actions that got her kicked out, and she'd have to fly home early and he'd fly back with the kids as planned, which is what happened. Lindsay has since laid into me over text and social media. Oh my god, this is so bad. Oh, what's that? The consequences of my own actions? God, how frustrating. Laid into me on text and social media for forcing her to go home early without her kids. Both my mother and James have said I was wrong for kicking Lindsay out. James's mother said I should have just let her stay for James's sake and not invited them back. My mother says I should have kicked all of them out because now Lindsay has to be away from her kids. I don't think I'm the a-hole for kicking out the person who made the comment, but not the person who defended me and innocent kids. Did I handle it like an a-hole? No, definitely not. Yeah, the top comment, because it was her actions that got her kicked out. There, this and that. That's all that's needed, and all that's needed to be said. She accused you of being a sex worker, and while it's nothing wrong to be one, it's not something you say to the innkeepers while you travel. She disrespected protected you, your husband, and your home, and you threw her out. Good riddance to bad rubbish, not the a-hole. Yeah, and it's not just that comment they made. All the other comments as well about how they feel like they don't do anything and stuff. Like asking if they feel bad because their partner's doing all the work and they're apparently not. Yeah, so awful. And this is literally a consequence of their actions, and they obviously can't take responsibility for it. And yeah, who are you to comment on somebody else's relationship? And yeah, I feel like that's enough for today, guys. Let's read something wholesome and not infuriating. The last thing you ate is what you have to name him. It feels so good to read this. Let me know down below what you'd have to name him, guys. I had bao buns for dinner, so I think bao bun, which is kind of a cute name. A little kid came up to the ice cream truck today holding a $5 in one hand and a cool leaf in the other. She asked me for a bomb pop and I said, okay, that'll be one leaf please. And she said no and handed me the $5. Wow, that's so funny. No, this leaf is worth a lot more to me than $5. That's so adorable. Is it possible to make me look attractive? Done. You didn't change anything? Yup. Wow, that's so cute. And some random person on the internet just being super nice and wholesome. I love seeing stuff like this. The photos my dad sends me of the new kitten that he doesn't want. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that they've changed their mind. So cute. And once again, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did, you know what to do. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. And the comment of the day goes to My Face Be High. Yay, nice guys. Time to learn how not to talk to females. Yeah, the nice guy episodes really are a good lesson in what not to do, which is a lot of stuff that we read. Like, yeah, nice guys, entitled parents, choosing beggars. They're all good examples of how not to act. Okay, once again, it's late at night, so I'm gonna go to bed. As always, make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!